All right. What's up, Warriors? Welcome back to the battlefield of the mind. Been a minute here, but I am excited to have back spirit medium Daniel Jackson, who, if you're not one of my Patreon subscribers, you haven't seen that episode. Why? Because Daniel Jackson goes hard. Like Daniel Jackson goes hard. And he was one of the very few people who ever made me cry on the show. And he speaks like just hardcore truths right in your face. And I love it. So I'm excited to have more conversations with him. We're doing that right now. So, spirit medium, Daniel Jackson, you were just saying right now, people aren't doing the work. And I was like, you're about to just drop bombs. We better record these
They
bombs.
yeah, they are not doing the work. They wanna use these, like I was writing down some notes before we came on, the people wanna deck themselves out in these, sacred geometry tattoos. They wanna wave sage around. Maybe they wanna go on some psychedelic trip or something like that, or they wanna use dowsing rods or even crystals. I mean, come on, you know what crystals are? They're rocks. These are rocks that we've been walking on and standing on for years. And how come they haven't taken your negativity away? Because you haven't done the actual work. You haven't tried to get rid of the negativity. You can people go to these metaphysical fairs, and I've seen this. I saw this lady one time standing in this big giant brass bowl, and I said, "What's that for?" And she said, "Oh, he's going to come by with this thing. It's going to vibrate the bowl. It's going to raise my vibrations." I said, "You know what it's really going to do?" She said, "What?" I said, "All you need to do is add some potatoes, some carrots, some chicken, and have some noodle soup because that's all it's going to do for you. It's not going to do everything. It's not going to take everything away from you that you have within you. And the only person who can make that go away is you." And she just looked at me bewildered. I mean, but it's the truth. You can't just go into this blindly and go, okay, I'm going to meditate 3 or 4 times. That's going to cure me. Now I'm going to go do some astral projection. No, no, it's not going to help you. You're going to go into something half-assed, and then it's going to cause you more problems than you had before you went into it. You have to do your homework. You have to do your work. You have to figure this out and get other people who already know how to do this to help figure this out. But again, don't go into it with just the attitude, "Well, I'm going to just dive in head first." You got to put your toes in first a little bit to figure out how it's going to work for you first. But if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to take the time, like anything else, you will get out of it what you put into it. If you're not willing to put anything into it, what do you think you're going to get out of it?
It's a good question. And people
Nothing.
won't answer that question. They're not gonna answer that.
No.
Well, the quick fixes and the structures, this is something that I noticed, with people right now, is, like, people are especially, like, when I look at people, with, like, the stones and the crystals and there's also, like, these cards that people will pull to tell them, like, here's the thought of the day or some structure, and it seems like people these days, um, they're looking so externally to try to fix their internal issues that, like, they're looking
Correct.
for structure, and it's like almost anything but God, and then some kind of, maybe these cards will tell me what I need to do, or maybe this stone will whisper to me the
Absolutely.
secret. Tell me some of the stuff you're seeing with the structures of people trying to find these quick fixes or saging or the turning themselves into stew or whatever that thing is.
Well, yeah, I mean, saging does not work. I don't see the value in that and how people think that's going to work because you are going to burn something, okay? And now this smoke's going to go in the air and you think it's going to make negative energy go away. It's not going to make negative energies from the spirit realm go away because this thing that you are burning and that smoke that you are making and that smell does not transpose or transpire into a non-physical realm. The beings that are in that realm don't have a physical body. They don't have lungs, they don't smell, they don't breathe. They're not This stuff is not going to affect them whatsoever. If it's going to make you feel good and give you a sense of calm and peace, great, but it's not gonna make any negative energy go away. I mean, the only thing you're doing at that point is you're setting off all your fire alarms. That's what you're going to do. Because if this were not the truth, then how come all the forest fires in the world that have burned all the sage and all the cedar have not made all the negative energies go away? Because it doesn't. It doesn't work. Again, they're trying to basically unknowingly put a spell out there or magic out there And we know is spell and magic and witchcraft is not good anyway. So you shouldn't be getting mixed up in that anyway. It's none of it is any good. Okay, but you think you're going to take evil away with evil? That's not going to happen. And again, these things, smoke is not going to go into that negative energy realm and make negativity go away. It's not going to happen. You have to want to do this yourself. You have to take the time to do this yourself. You have to be proactive in order to get this negativity away from you. You have to get I don't care if it's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your best friend, or your so called best friend. We all have one of those. If they are not being a positive force in your life, if they are not helping to lift you up in this world, then why do you have them in your life? And the only reason you have them in your life is because you allow them to be there. You know what you do? You stop allowing them to be there. When they call you on the telephone, you look on your telephone and go, oh yeah, it's that piece of shit who was giving me a piece of shit yesterday. Click and done. You walk away. And then once you walk away, don't let them back into your life. Don't associate with them. Don't go to the parties that all these crappy people are at. Don't go up to the water cooler where everybody's going to be gossiping. Don't rubberneck every time you're driving down the road and you see an accident going on or you're seeing somebody getting arrested or trouble happening. If you see trouble happening, walk away. Walk in the other direction. But if you continue to, then you say, well, maybe I can give them a second chance. Well, if you want to give them a second chance, go right ahead. But when they come back into your life and they start treating you like crap again, and you want to complain about it, no, because the only person you have to blame at that point is you, because you allow it to happen. You have to stop allowing it to happen. You have to start from day one and say, you know what? This is like going to be the worst diet I've ever been on, but the best diet I have ever been on because I'm going to get rid of this and then I'm going to keep it away from me. And you can't look back. You can't go, oh, well, maybe I can. No, you can't do that. How well does that work out for a drug addict or an alcoholic? It doesn't. It's not going to work out for you either. You have to take a stand or be owned. And I don't want to be owned. So I'm going to take a stand and do whatever I have to do in order to stay away from everything. And yes, you're going to lose some people in your lives, but these people are not meant to be in your lives in the first place. These people are a test for you to see if you will actually take a stand instead of being owned by them. You're going to have to do it. If one way or another, if you don't do it, then again, you're not going to get these tattoos. You're not going to get all these crystals and this sage and maybe some dowsing rods or something like that. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you if you don't do the actual inner work in order to get first and then after that get rid of the outer work that's going on around you. That's what the problem is. But they think if I go to one of these metaphysical fairs and I buy some rocks and some stones and I love this one. Oh, let me go over here and get a picture taken of my aura. Are you
Ooh,
serious?
I want my aura
Oh,
picture.
oh yeah, I want to go get a picture of my aura. Yeah, because that's going to help me out. They're
Yeah.
not taking a picture of your aura. They're taking a picture of your heat signature. They're taking a picture of the electricity that's going on in your body. That
Oh,
is not your aura. That has nothing to do with your aura. But you just spent $90 on that. Good luck with that, because that's
oh,
going to
it's a
help you.
$90
What?
picture of my aura? Okay.
Oh yeah, it costs $90 to get one of those pictures. It's worth about as much as that fuzzy picture of Elvis you got hanging on your wall, right? So yeah, it's just this is it's an illusionary cop out for everybody. They want the easy button. They want to go to Staples and get the now my life is clear. No, it doesn't work that way. It takes a lot more than that. But this is their way of copping out of not doing the work. So they'll get some trinkets and some other junk, like your aunt has sitting in her house for fucking 10 years. You get rid of all that stuff because it's not going to help you do anything. But people believe it's going to help them do it. Why? Because when you go to these metaphysical fairs, it's there. They have everything. It's oh, well, the sound bowls. Oh, well, let me more sound bowl. Oh, yeah, that does what for you? If music makes you feel good, that's great, but music is not going to cure you. The only thing that's going to cure you is you, and that's you doing the work. And if you're not willing to do the work, and you want to focus on all these false trinkets out there that are going to do it for you, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money.
Mm.
It's just a big waste. That's what it is.
There's a lot of cool stuff you dropped in here. So I just want to make sure that the spirits don't have organs. Spirits don't have organs. So it turns out smoke
No,
doesn't stop something that doesn't get bothered by smoke. Evil
right,
doesn't stop evil. So that
right.
apparently
Just
won't work.
just like a cross will not make a negative energy go away because the cross is a form of punishment. So how are you going to make something evil go away with a form of punishment? You're
I
not.
don't, they love that shit. I get it. So they love it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And then we got to do the work. And there's a lot of different elements of outside work, inside work. But then also you talked about like, people believe it's working, the placebo effect. And then I will
correct.
come back and talk about the frequencies because there are some things like maybe not. I've heard some things both ways on this.
Yeah,
Let's do the work.
with the yeah, sure.
I want to do the work.
So yeah, the work they need to do. Again, start off with a plan. Get a checklist going, like anyone else who would get a checklist going for with the kind of man that you're going to date or the kind of woman that you're going to date. Get a checklist going for what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Again, start off with the family members. That's the first place to go to because we get so much drama. What's the difference between in-laws and outlaws, Rick? Outlaws are wanted, okay, and in-laws are not. So when you have these kinds of problems with the outlaws, you or the in-laws, so supposedly, you will talk to them when you need to talk to them. You will be around them when you need to be around them, and you will have to deal with them when you need to deal with them. But if you don't need to be around them, you don't need to around them or be with them or deal with them, then don't. Stop doing it because you know it's going to cause you some issues. You know you're going to get angered. But you know what you can do, as I always do? I had a woman come to me one time. I was doing readings in a mall, and she came up to me and said, "Excuse me, sir, do you speak with spirit?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "So you're actually talking to spirit?" I said, "Yes, I am." And then she stood up and said, "You're speaking to the devil." And I
Mm,
stood there with this voice and said, "No, I'm not speaking to the devil because there's no such thing as a devil. There's no such thing as purgatory or hell. There's no such thing as a fallen angel. There's no such thing as Satan. There is a Lucifer, but he is an archangel. He's not a fallen angel." And as I went on with that, in this type of voice, the only thing she did was get more angry. But the only
sure.
thing I did was just kept being me because I choose not to get angry. I
Mhm.
choose not to be triggered by anyone else. And if you, because that's the new hip word to use nowadays, that's
Of
triggered.
course.
Yeah. Word's been around for years, but no one's ever used it until the past 10 years. So, but
Mhm.
yeah, you are allowing yourself to be triggered to react to these someone else getting overly excited or overly angered at what you're saying or what you're doing or whatever conversation you're involved with. You have to learn to stop and you have to learn to let that go. That's what
Well,
it's about. Do you
by
have to get
knowing
angry? No.
you're knowing thyself though, because I know me means I don't
Right.
have to match you.
Right.
Because she wants to lose her cool doesn't mean I have to join you.
Absolutely. You could just go, "Are you done?" Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then what? Don't you have anything to say? No, I don't, because I'm not going to get into and lower myself, lower my what we'd call lower my vibration down to your level, and get into this with you because I don't have to, because I don't want to, and I don't need to, so I won't. And
Well,
now you can walk away because
there's a step here. I do a training on that where I talk about the psychology of how people will match somebody's energy. And
sure,
somebody matches somebody's energy almost always. There's going to be a thing there. And so whether it's like a 2-year-old kid screaming in the shopping cart and eventually mom's like, shut up, like somebody's going to match somebody's energy at some point. And so
yeah,
like it's just a basically just human thing. We're a herd animal. And so we're going to like, naturally start to gravitate towards which energy is the most dominant, even if it's the more
right,
calm one or if it's the most aggressive one, we're
sure,
gonna have an energy response to it. And
yeah,
with that being said, you have this lady who's like, I'm going to go here, which is an uncontrolled energy to try to force you into also having a lack of control over your energy. And you're like, but
right,
I know me. And because you don't really know, you want to be angry. But because I really do know, I'm not going to join you. And this is a
Right.
training that I teach for especially my men to be good, healthy pack leaders, which is where I can be understanding, I can be concerned and or empathetic, and I can be compassionate towards what it is that you're doing, but I'm not going to agree with you.
Right. Yeah, it's like 2 people you see or you see 4 people out on the dance floor and 2 of them are all over the place and 2 of them are moving, calmly with each other, It's yeah, she's way up here trying to get me to come up here, and I'm just going, "No, I'm gonna do my own thing. That's what I'm gonna do." I'm gonna be okay with it too, because I always tell people I never apologize to anyone for me being me. If I say something that's gonna get you irritated and you're gonna be offended by it, I really don't give a shit because I know eventually you'll walk away and I don't have to deal with you ever again.
Well, the
Because I've
authenticity.
learned yeah, I've learned that I don't have to I lose my cool over somebody else's stupidity, and that's just the way it is. I may say something and go, but then I'll just go, "Nah, not doing it." No, because it's
Well,
not worth my time.
there's a tool you're doing that's very effective, and it does take a little practice, and this is part of the deep
It
work
does.
and knowing thyself. Even going through, I do a lot of work in grief. I do a lot of work in growth, and grief is actually one of the main components of why people are struggling today. Is they just don't know how to effectively grieve. They don't know how to work through
Sure.
loss,
Well,
and
we've
I
been taught
train it.
grief, that's why. Yeah.
Well, that you're taught that having grief is a disorder when really it's a
Right.
process. It's not a
Right.
disorder. We're not fucked up for denying things or going through
No.
bargaining or anger or sadness. You're not broken. There's a reason why we have a grieving system. It's just, do you know how to get
Sure.
to the acceptance element of it? And even
Sure.
what you're
Well,
saying
we
is
we
getting
tend to
into.
grieve a lot too much over the death of people, or the death of something because I know I mean as I've been told, no one dies too soon, no one dies too young, no one dies tragically, no one dies unexpectedly, no one dies untimely.
Hmm,
Everyone just dies. They just do, and it's okay to grieve over that. But are you meant to grieve over that the rest of your life? Are you meant to sit around and go, "I can't go through my life without this person"? Well,
right.
before when you first came into this world, you were not with that person. You're gonna leave this world on your own, everyone is, in a sense, where your soul is going to leave by itself. There will be others there who will be there to hopefully take you across. Not everybody has that, but yeah, but that's part of your life's, lessons to learn to figure out that, "Okay, I had this person in my life, but I don't absolutely need that person. I'm here to do things on my own as well, and I'm here to figure them out, There's that term that says, "God bless you." Well, he did. He put you here. He wants us to figure out the rest. That's what he wants us to do. But uh,
Hmm,
but we are being taught to have grief and to have it and to hold on to it so that you are always and constantly the victim. So that way
correct.
that we can give you all kinds of drugs and everything, and then feed you into the system so you can give us all your money. No.
There's a lot, well, there's multiple systems to do that system. It all leads to that, but
Yeah.
yeah, the finding the meaning, or even what I teach is to honor those who you've had the blessing to have in your life. How do I live my life and
Absolutely.
honor
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
experiences I've had? And you're not wrong when I watch people use grief as their identity. I am tragedy. I am trauma.
Yes.
I am loss. And it's not true unless you believe it's true. And this is where you're saying, like, that's not how that works. Like, and I like the
Yeah,
idea to challenge these beliefs of like, no, but that was my person, or that was my mom, and that was my best friend. And so without them, I'll never be me ever again. And it's like, then your entire identity was based around another person. Like, you are you still. You are still
yeah,
you, but being able to take the life lessons you have from that person and then being able to say, how do I honor the meaning of what I've had in their life? And I have a good
correct.
question that I ask for people, something especially around death is, they don't have any more physical minutes here. That body is gone. Like they're gone. They're done
Correct,
from that.
correct.
In which
Yeah.
case, how would you think they would give you advice on, since you still have minutes, how would you think they would want you to spend those minutes? Like how would you honor them by living your life by their advice? What do you think they would say? And then people give me
By
their
go
responses.
yeah,
Yeah, like
by the strength that my father taught me and my mother taught me to have, the resilience that my mother and father taught me to have, to knowing that everything that I do in this world, that if it does come down to it, is not the end of the world, to know that, don't cry over spilt milk is the same thing as don't think the world is coming to an end because you just spilt your coffee. Go pick up your coffee, go clean up the mess, and go get another one.
Yeah.
My parents have taught me that, but the problem is with the kids today, we didn't teach them that today. We taught them that everybody gets a trophy for playing baseball, or everybody will have their hand held. And here, I'm going to put this telephone in front of your face so I don't have to talk to you anymore. And then they wonder why these kids are going out and shooting up schools and they can't deal with each other. They have no social skills anymore.
There's a lot
We are
more
we
that are
we yeah, we
depressed
can't
than
blame
anything
we
else,
can't
yeah.
blame the kids. We have to blame ourselves because 'cause we've done this to them, and
Yes.
we are constantly doing this to them. We are the epitome of segregation ourselves from ourselves. That's what we do in this world. The social network is a social injustice more or less because it's not helping anybody. It just keeps everybody apart from each other. Anybody can get on a keyboard and call you a bunch of names and slurs and all that stuff, and not have to be accountable for it because, well, you know, they're behind a keyboard. They're not in front of your face, and we've taught them to do that. We're still teaching ourselves to do that all the time.
Mhm.
We have all this political crap going on. You know, you got the left wing and the right wing. I'm sorry, people, but they're all in the same bird. You better wake up to that fact because they all look like they hate each other, but behind closed doors, they're loving each other because why? They have the power and control over everybody, and you just don't know that. You're just a you're just a puppet. So, but yeah, my mom and dad have taught me many things, and it was in little tiny ways that they taught me this. And it's not until I went through that experience of using that little tiny way, I was like, oh, my mom, I remember my mom teaching me that. I can. It was just this little tiny thing, and that's the way that we get through to them. It doesn't need to be this ginormous sense of okay, this is the way you're going to fix everything in the world. And there's little ways to do that, and the little ways is what I mean, we always know that the little things in life are the things that mean the most. And so these most meaningful things can help you get through your life, but you do have to work on them. You can't just go. Mom said, maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm going to do it anyway. Yep. Hey, your mom's been around for a long time. I think she got it right, so maybe you should learn to get it right this time around too. We are hard learners in this world. We do have trouble learning things and learning them quickly. As I always say, there's a nail in the floor. In that doorway, and you walk through the door and you trip over the nail. Well, how do you learn that lesson? You go get a hammer and bang it back in. But how many people actually learn that lesson? They don't. They trip 4 or 5 times. And I worked in prison for 6 years. Those people were tripping all the time because they haven't figured out that they're not good criminals. That's why they keep showing up in prison all the time. Well, those are the ones who got caught. There's everybody else who didn't get caught. And they're still doing the same stupid shit. But my mom and dad instilled some things in me that I still use today, and I'm glad they did it. I'm glad my dad didn't raise me to be a freaking pussy because I'm not. I'm out there doing what I need to do to take care of myself, and I'm not waiting for everybody else to do it for me. That's for sure, or expecting when everyone else to do it for me. There's a little bit of a difference there, and we have now got a generation of people who are growing up in this world who think that they should get a tax break or they should get all their debt taken away just because they went to college. No, work for it. You have to work for it like everybody else does. You can't just get everything given to you. It doesn't work that way because if you were given everything in your lifetime, what would you appreciate? Nothing. And that's the problem. If life wasn't meant to be easy, if it was meant to be easy, what would be the point of living at all? There wouldn't be a point. It's Life is meant to be hard. It's not meant to be easy. It's for you to learn. I have these people come to me all the time and ask me, "What about my guardian angel?" You don't have a guardian angel. Nobody has a guardian angel. If you had a guardian angel following you around, taking care of everything you did in your life and guarding you from everything, what would you learn? You would learn nothing. And you're here to learn. But why is that guardian angel coming in only for the times that you want him? Because only those times you're a complete and total screw up. Maybe if you would stop doing the stupid shit in your life, you wouldn't feel the need to have a guardian angel. You wouldn't feel the need to ask for God's forgiveness. You wouldn't need to ask for God to help you and oh, God, I need $1 million. So you're going to have to bring it to me, Ask and you shall receive. No, it doesn't work that way. It's
Well,
work for it
stupid
and you
shit
shall
teaches us
receive.
stuff. I think that we need to do stupid shit. Like, we need to. It's important
Yeah,
for us. Part of our development is
to
to do
learn.
stupid shit. That teaches us way faster
Sure.
than winning does. But the guardian
It
angel thing,
does.
like last time we talked, you said like I have a guardian angel, which is that got me
Well,
pretty
no,
good.
you have a spirit guide, but
Spirit
and that
guide.
spirit
Okay.
guide will yeah, he will give you advice, but you have to follow it. And if
Got
you
it.
choose not
So
to follow it,
that's
that's on
important. I
you.
think it's an
That's not on
important
him.
clarity because like people will ask the spirit side questions. Like if I have a spirit guide, because that you got me last time with the spirit guide. That one's where you got me. And I was
Hey,
like, okay, if
how's your
I
grandfather? How's your grandpa Richard doing, huh?
yeah, that was amazing that you remember that. Like you got me, and that's crazy. That's crazy that was like that was a thing. I was like, I actually it was such a good reminder when you did that. I actually realized because I was still repressed heart side. I didn't have my heart completely open yet. That I had to
Sure,
re-grieve all of those all the funerals I ever went through. I had to go through all of them again and grieve them appropriately. And my grandfather,
sure.
that conversation was an eye opener for me that I hadn't completely grieved that loss. And so I had to go through it with my heart side too. My grandfather Richard, you got me with that. That one
But he is the only guy who's ever told you that he was proud of you.
that yeah, that was a really tough thing for sure. He was at that
Sure.
moment like that was the only source of I believe in you that I even had, and it
Right,
was
that
a
loss of that one guy.
yeah, and it was a big deal. And so that to
Yeah.
have that as a spirit guide, I would think it's important for people to go like guardian angel versus spirit guide, like the difference between those.
But him knowing that he was the only one guy to offer that kind of encouragement to you, telling you that all the time, do you believe he would have wanted you to give up?
Oh no, no, no.
He gave you that so you wouldn't give up
Right.
or give in.
Yeah, that was a
He's always
Spartan side family, that we were warriors on that side, and so no, he was very,
yeah,
very tough,
yeah,
very hard, and so for him
yeah,
for that element, because my grandfather was a tough dude, especially on my dad and my uncles and my aunt, like, he was very, very hard, my grandma was even harder, and I got New Testament grandfather, Old
sure.
Testament grandfather was brutal on my
Yeah, yeah,
dad
well, of
and the
course.
kids, but when the grandkids were born, my cousin and I, when we were born, we got New Testament grandpa, who was very sweet and
Sure.
encouraging and kind and loving, and so that's why I call it New Testament because he's very forgiving and understanding. And Old Testament was fire and
Yeah.
brimstone and kick your ass, and so
Yeah, yeah. Well, what that's why you got both sides of you. You're the calm person, yes. Yet, as we talked about before, you have the dark wolf standing in front of you. You know, so and you know when to turn it on and turn it off. So
mhm.
you got both sides, but like sometimes you got one parent that's halfway good looking, and the other parent's halfway good looking, and they have some kids and they're really good looking. So you got so that's what you got. You got both sides of it. And luckily for everyone else out in the world right now, and who's listening to you and getting your message, gets that. Lucky for them.
Well, we have a purpose, and like I said, the things that you said,
Yes.
I've really done some deep work because I had to really challenge the things that you said because you have a tendency to shake the tree, and I really enjoy that about you because a lot of people are afraid to say what the truth is because they're so concerned about things, and it's because like powers at be, the people who would control the narrative, would make sure they censor
Yes.
someone like you as hard as possible. I'm very aware of
Absolutely.
it too because even though the
Yeah.
things you are saying may be absolute truth, they would make sure that even I am not allowed to speak anymore because you said the truth. And these are
Correct.
dangerous times right now where information is now considered a problem if you tell the truth. And that's been a very
Yes.
interesting
Absolutely.
it's interesting for me to navigate because like I love
Yeah.
hearing different points of view, but now it's like the point of view is only allowed to be said if we say so. And you're like, what kind of free speech is this? Oh, it's
Correct.
not. It's not free
Correct.
speech
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, because they wanna spoon feed everybody and let it trickle out a little bit. Because some people believe that we can't handle the truth, and others are out there who just don't wanna tell us the truth because
Most
they don't
most
want us to
people
realize what's actually going on.
I would actually challenge that most people really cannot handle the truth. They really struggle with it, especially like you
Yeah,
said. Let's go back to doing the work. Whenever I'm training people to know thyself, gaslighting their introspection is the most common defense that I see. Is they won't tell themselves the truth about themselves. And so
right.
that's going to be the biggest denial is the toughest obstacle, especially through the grieving cycle to get past because that protection system, the masks that we wear, the personas we pretend to be, the things that we
Correct.
project to give only the information I want you to know about me. So that way you like me or don't abandon me or, don't reject
Oh,
me.
sure.
The masks that we wear, that is the most common defense that I have that I see people go through, the suppression of self in order to be accepted is that's the most common defense. And so that would mean that my entire acceptance and approval system is based on lying. And so telling the
Right.
truth, people can't
Right.
handle the truth because then you'll see through my mask. You'll see through my fears. You'll see through the things that I need to control. And if I don't have control, well, I'm going to lose control of myself to try to get control back
Correct.
from you with judgments and shame and guilt and
Yes.
blame and canceling and anger and frustrations and judgmental demolition or reputation demolition. I'm going to hurt you until I'm okay again because then I can control the narrative.
Because that's gonna make you feel better by
Oh my
hurting me.
god, that's so much better. As long as everybody doesn't see through my lie, it's so much better. Uh,
Right, right. Well, as long as you're pouring enough of those lies out, they're not gonna be able to see through it to see that, "Oh, well, if I thought he's such a righteous person, but he's telling this other person that they are a worthless piece of shit all day long." And,
well, he's so righteous, it
I
must be
say that
true.
about some people. I do say that about some people, but I only say it because of one reason. Because someone will say something to me about someone, I'll go, "Oh, that piece of shit," and I go, "Oh, I thought you're all spiritual and everything." I said, "I am spiritual. I'm not judging them. I'm just telling you they're a piece of shit because of one reason. They choose to be a piece of shit. They could choose to be differently, but they don't. So
It's
it's not a
observational.
judgment. That's just a fact.
It's
Yeah, it's just the
observational at this
truth.
point. Well,
Yeah,
he's also
observational truth. That's all it is, and that's the part of it they can't seem to handle. They can't get a grip on because they go, "Oh well, yeah, maybe I guess they are. Yeah, well they are." But they can choose at some point to stop doing that, but they got to want to do it.
it's important the way you said it. He chooses to be a piece of shit. He chooses to.
Yeah,
And that's a given. It's a big training that I've been doing on how I am is who I am. And people are judging people based on their past instead of recognizing that what I did was meant to teach me something and I don't do those things anymore. But can you see that
right,
what I did is not who I am now? And people have a hard
right.
time with the reality of that because they go like, I remember Daniel, when you were 19, you did that thing. You're a fucking piece of shit. And go like,
Oh
I don't do that
yeah,
anymore. I don't do that.
yeah.
That's I
I
learned
give the
not to
same
do that from
analogy all
that.
the time. I tell people I will say to them in this way where, say, "Hey," because they always, well, they want to cry and moan and whine about everything that happened to them, and again, play the victim about everything and all that stuff
Sure.
that happened to them. Maybe when they got raped or something like that when they were a kid and all. Well, you know what? You're not a kid anymore. You're not the same person anymore. You're supposed to have grown from that point, and you have grown as an individual in age, but you're supposed to grow away from that too. I would tell them that, if you went out to go get a job and then you put out your resume to this company and they looked at it and they go, "Wow, well, you know what? This looks pretty good." But we did a little Google search on you and we found out that when you were 7 years old, you took a stick and put it in some bird shit and went around to all the girls and said, "Oh, bird shit, bird shit." And we think that's kind of bad and we don't want you working at our place. And then that's when you tell them, "Well, I'm not 7 years old anymore. I don't make the same decisions. I don't have the same thought process, nor do I have the same perspective or outlook on my life. I'm not seven anymore." Oh,
Fair,
well,
fair
okay.
enough. I'm gonna do a
Yeah.
quick disclaimer on the twist because like you went through it pretty quickly on that one. Well, being 7 and doing bird shit stick is one person. That's an action that I did. Being raped or molested as
Right.
a child is a very different game. And so those are serious
Right,
things
but
that do require a level of training
yes,
to overcome by taking
absolutely.
your power back, which can be done. I've done this with people who have
Correct.
been
Take
molested,
your
people who
power
have been
back.
raped. I do train
Correct.
them how to go into these memories. There's neuro linguistic programming. There's cognitive behavioral therapies that we do to make it so you can do the work to go take your power
Right.
back. And then there's mind, heart, body, and spirit releases and acceptances to be able to go, I am okay again. So it's all elements
Right.
that are there. So there is a way it can be done. It's not to belittle or to say
Yes, you
like,
could.
get
Oh,
over
no,
it,
what's
but there
not
is ways to
whatsoever.
take your strength back from somebody who's
Yes,
hurt you when you
it's
didn't
about
have a
learning to
way.
let it go. It's learning to know that that person no longer has power over you. They don't have to have power over all you, but you have to learn to overcome that. You have to learn to be strong and learn to move forward at that point and say, you know what, I'm not going to let this ever happen again, and
Yeah,
I don't have to have that guy let him have power over me. You know,
yeah,
and he's no part of my life anymore. My life is in a different direction now. Just like I could have a father who was a piece of crap all his entire life, but that doesn't mean I need to be a piece of crap to my children either. I can
true.
turn around and do something different. I can be something more, be something better, and not show that same type of behavior to my children, and let them know that they can be a good father to their children as well.
Yeah, I agreed. I just didn't wanna, kinda glaze past, like, "You got
No, no,
raped?
no.
Get over it." Like, it's like, well, it's a pretty
No, no, it's
monumental
not that
moment.
easy.
Yeah, right.
It's not that
It's a
easy.
pretty
It takes time,
serious.
and you do need to seek out some professional help and someone who can help you with that.
Yeah,
I worked around those kind of people in the prison. All the psychological people over there did help a lot of people in there.
it
I
can
mean,
be
the
done.
only unfortunate part about being in prison is that is 90% of the people in there were just trying to get medication and drugs as much as they can so they could live that party life. But there were about 10% of the people in there who really did have some issues, and the thing about it where I worked was in medical records. I could see into their psychological history. It's not just them; it's their
Mhm.
entire family. Their
Sure.
entire families are
It's
messed up,
trained
and they don't
behavior.
learn right. Yeah, they don't learn the right from wrong from anybody. It's never taught to them or any type of treatment to turn that around. Even being in prison, they don't really treat anybody anymore. They just
Mm.
want you to come back in so that they can make some more money. That's about what it comes down to. But yeah, it's just the way it is.
It's a sad
Yeah, but
system, yeah.
if you yeah, as I have in my book, the basis of my book is, yeah, I had a whole bunch of crazy things happen to me spiritually throughout my entire life, but I know it couldn't just be me. So I went out and find my people. I found them. I found the people that I felt comfortable with and people who could help me. Anyone in your life, if you have something going on in your life that you can't figure out, there's 7.5 billion of us. There's somebody else who's has either gone through it or is going through it, and you can get together with them. You got to go out and find them, but you got to be proactive. It's
Well,
with anything in your life. You got to be
there's a work
proactive in your
part
life.
there. There's a work part there
Yeah,
that's pretty
it's
important,
working.
and I train this myself because most people have limiting beliefs or beliefs that are cursed upon them from people in their life where they didn't have a defense. Some way to like,
Sure.
I don't know how to protect against this person saying that I'm worthless or I'll never be anything or I'm not worth loving or some kind of a belief system put in by somebody who's not happy with themselves, the generational curses. Well, in order to be able to fit in or belong, a basic human need is to belong or to be accepted or to be approved of. We're a pack animal. There's an element of nonconformity that isn't really discussed as much with what you're describing, which is go find your people. Well, then who are you in order to know who I'm looking for as my people? And there's an element of
Right.
know thyself in order to find your authenticity. And then once you find your authenticity, it's impossible not to be journeying to find like-minded people and or your purpose, which is a very
Right.
difficult journey to do. But I can't think of a way to do it if you stay in conformity right now to be like everybody else. And if you're like everybody
Sure.
else, it's going to
No.
be difficult to find your
No.
purpose.
Yeah, I mean, as you have probably noticed just being on today's show and the previous show, I'm not the one who goes along to get along. I don't do
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not rainbows and unicorns and everything is love and light whatsoever.
We get along in that category. I get
Yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah, we get along in that category. But even when I was on my personal spiritual journey of I wasn't really on a journey at that point of finding my spirituality. I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on because I was seeing so many spirit at once that I have seen throughout my entire life, but it was coming to a head where I was seeing so much at one period. I had to figure out what was going on. So I went into the route of looking for a paranormal group came to my house, and then they were unable to help me. I mean, there was lots of things that they witnessed, which was good because we were happy that other people were witnessing at the same time. So from that experience, I said, well, okay, if they can't help me, I got to go find somebody else. Maybe I'll try one of these mediums. And I did that. And I found five mediums. And then one of those mediums led me to having a talk with God. And, and, and when I settled, into that conversation of feeling as though at that point I was at rock bottom. I asked for his help, and he helped me. He brought others to me, and then that also helped me find other people. And then from one person to the next person to the next person, I got a little bit of information here and there, and then eventually I found a whole group, a whole community of people, and then I felt at home.
I
But
love it.
why did I do that? Because I was proactive about it. I didn't feel like I was gonna sit around with my thumb up on my ass and all day and do nothing about it, you know? You can either do that or you can do nothing or you can go out and try to find it, and that's what I try to do. I had
There's
no inclination, no idea that I was gonna become a medium. It just
but the
turned out.
action, I'm with you on the action, but you do something that's very it's I have to call it out so that way people can pay attention. You just
Sure.
glazed by conversation with God. Like we just went right past that. Like that's not a big deal. Like that's a pretty big
Oh, that's
deal.
the biggest deal.
That's a
Yeah, that's
really
the
big
biggest
deal.
deal.
When we're like, so I talked to
Yeah.
God, and then I came back and I found a community. It's like, wait, can we go back and talk to God? Like we just talked to God a
Yeah.
second ago.
Well,
So
yeah,
there is a
I did
God,
glaze
and
by it, but
well,
yeah,
let's hit that really quick because the community
sure.
element is something that I we could probably get that pretty quickly. But can we go back to the I hit rock bottom, talk to God?
Yeah.
There's always going to be that debate: is there a God? Is there not a God? Is there a thing? Is it the universe, or is it you said it's not the spirit rocks, it's not these things. No, there's a God. Help
Yeah.
people out with this because like I've been doing a lot of deep diving spiritually. I found my things I found, but you talked to God. You got to go have it. Can you explain that interaction? Like help people who are like, I have no faith at all. I have nothing. What does that even feel, experience like? What is that like? What'd you ask him? You got to have a conversation. If you can ask one question to God,
Um,
what was your thing?
when I went to him, again, I felt as though like any alcoholic or any drug addict would feel, or anybody who's ill in any type of way and not feeling in their that they want help. They will know when they're getting to that point of asking for help to something they can't actually see, then they know they believe in God. Uh, but I had this talk with this woman, this other medium, and that's what she even told me. She said, "You need to have a sit down talk with God and decide if you're going to move forward with this or not." And I said, "Move forward to what?" And she said, "Oh, Daniel, you're just an untrained medium." And I said, "Okay, I guess, whatever." But so by the time my wife and I got home, because we talked about it, I even said to my wife, "So I'm supposed to have this talk with God." I said, "How do I do that?" And she said to me, because she makes everything, real, she said, "How do you talk to him any other time?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess I just do. I have this feeling within me that something's there. I know something's there. So I'll just go in and I'll have a talk with him." And when I sat down, I went into the bedroom and I sat down and I turned out the lights and I said, "God, if this is what you want me to do, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I need some help. I mean, I see these spirit and these ghosts and all this stuff. I'm being told that they're coming to me because they want my help. I said, I don't know how to help them. I said, I need help to help them, but I'll do it if you want me to. I'll do it 110%. I said it plain out. I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll be wherever you want me to be, and I will do whatever you want me to do. If you want me to work for you, that's what I'll do. But I need some help, and if you will bring me that help, then I'll be shown that way of direction that I need to go in, and I will stay on that path. That's what I will do. I walked out of that room. I said to my wife, "Okay, it's done." And at that point, I was seeing a lot of scary stuff going on in my house. I mean, uh, the people next to me. I mean, if you think the movie Poltergeist was bad, well, that's what they were living next to, and they were aware of it too because they would tell me some things, and I go, it's not a big deal." But that's what was going on in my house. The very next day, it stopped. It stopped. I mean, because it was going on for 2 weeks solid, really bad, but it stopped, and then a lot of that negativity started to fade away, but I was now opening myself up to everything. That's
Hmm,
the thing about having my ability. People think, "Oh, I want your ability." No, you want the cool part of my ability. You don't want the rest of it. You think you're opening up
agreed.
a can of chicken noodles, but you're opening up the worst can of worms ever because once you open yourself to anything and everything, that's everything. And
Mhm.
there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't see negative energies doing horrible things to other energies all the time. It's like a horror movie that you can't turn the TV off with, and I have to witness that. But in order to be able to do what I do, that also has to be within my life in order to do it because I'm opening myself up to get messages from spirit.
Yeah.
So I went through that process, and then he brought people into my life. I There was somebody who I had tried to contact 6 months before that emailed me, and I was like, "Wow, that's been a while." And she said, I have an intuition group. You should come." And I went to the intuition group. And then within going a couple times, she said, "I'm putting a group together with these experienced mediums. I want you to come because you got a lot going on. And I think we can help you." And that's what I did. And then when I went to that group, I went to that group for a year. They helped me. uh, I got a message one time. It's funny. I got a message and it says, "I want you to sit down with Shaban." I'm hearing a voice in my mind says, "I want you to sit down with Shaban, and I want you to ask her if it's okay, and then to clear out your minds and hold out your hands and have her hold your hands, and then watch what happens." And I was like, "Okay." So I went and then I said that to her, and she said, "Yeah, sure." And I put my hands out and I cleared out my mind. And one of the ladies said, "Are you getting ready to channel?" And I was like, "What the hell's that?"
Mhm.
I
Right.
didn't know what it was because I didn't know what any of this was. I was just a guy who was seeing a lot of spirit and a lot of things were happening to him all the time. It's gotten to the point now where since I have stayed on that path and continued on that path, I got a message about 6 years ago that said, if I listen, trust, and follow through with everything they tell me to do, I will never get into another car accident again. And I haven't. Not once. I haven't had an accident. I haven't had a close call. Nothing. But because I dedicated myself to doing what he has asked me to do. Now I'm in communication with what we would refer to as archangels. They're not men with wings and shields and swords. And I say refer to because the stories that you hear is not what they are. They're not. Most of them don't even look like people. They don't look like, if you actually saw what they actually look like, because they can manipulate themselves in order to make you feel at ease. If you saw what they actually look like, you would run away scared.
Yeah,
You would run away
I saw
scared.
like images where they try to describe like in the Bible. I think it's when John writes about like what it is. Like they look like, well, they have eyes all over and like very interesting shapes. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
You mentioned
we're
they
not.
look almost like praying mantis, some of them, and
Yeah, I see 8 foot
like the
praying mantis, and some of them look humanoid, and some look human, and some of them don't look like anything I could ever describe to you because it's nothing that we would know of.
right.
So it would be almost monstrous at some point. So yeah, but I know who they are and what they do and what they do for me and what they do for everyone else. And they bring a sense of peace and calmness around and trying to manipulate our thoughts and get rid of all this negativity within our lives so we can focus on helping each other and taking care of each other. That's
So
what they're
those
trying to
angels hang
do.
out around us, like they're out trying to help us too.
No.
Okay, okay, just
No, they
making
don't.
sure.
They yeah, there are archangels and are angels, but they are not helping you to go get a cup of freaking coffee. That's not what they're doing. They're
Well,
doing big
even
picture
still,
things.
what about like the big picture element of like this spiritual battle? Like, I have concepts of like theories, which I'd love you to confirm or say that's not how that fucking works. Where like,
Do you know who they're battling? They're
who
battling us.
right, and
They're
so
battling us.
this
Yeah.
is the theory that I
They're
have on this is like the whole concept, even the movie Constantine, where they talk about it's influencing. It's the
My
game is
wife loves that
choice,
movie.
but the game is
Yes,
choice, you
absolutely.
know? And so
It is.
they're gonna try and like influence your choice and influence the choice, and they'll move in through different
Yes.
ways. And I believe, you know, even if a
Yes.
Lucifer figure were to do things, even if that concept was to say there was a devil, the idea
No,
itself would
there
be
isn't.
but the idea of the influence would come in through pleasure. The influence would come in through what do you
Correct.
want, you know? And so
Correct.
these are the games that we're being the pawns of. But is there like there are evil spirits and there are good spirits, and
There
they're
are.
going like,
There are very
are you
negative
gonna make
energies.
this choice or are you gonna make this choice? And the free will seems like it's the game. Now I don't know the currency. Now there seems to be currency in soul. There seems to be currency in
Well, free
spirit.
will is the actual answer, that's all. It's just it
But
depends upon which answer you
is
wanna
there a
give.
currency though? Is there some sort of like get your soul? Is there some sort of currency, or is there like what's the point of the game then to say like what free will or what choice we make if there is no currency in spirit or soul?
Because the end game is to go home and stay home. It's not to keep coming back over and over and over again. It's not to have the multiple amount of lives. It's you have those multiple amount of lives in order to figure out your lessons learned, but you're here for a purpose, and your purpose is not becoming a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher. It is not an occupational choice. You will
Right.
go to fulfill your purpose by doing one thing, by being human. And our purpose is we're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should, in a way where you're going to help someone to do something they can absolutely not do for themselves, or you're helping them to figure it out in a way. Like if you're driving down the street and you see a cat in the middle of the road, and you could say, oh well, let me get that cat out of the road, and let me maybe help get it to someone, or get it to a doctor, or help it out. Or you're going to be one of those people who goes, fuck that cat because I'm late for work. Well, if you're late for work, you know what you do? Get up earlier because you're a piece of crap, and go do something. Help. That's what you're here to do. You're here to help everyone, and we are all here to help each other, take care of each other, and share everything in the world, because there's enough of everything, and take away the idea of currency in this world, because the true currency in this world that no one can seem to get past is, and the problem with the other currency is we base our currency on what? Rocks and paper. You know, you've heard of it, dollar bills and gold and diamonds. That's what we
Sure.
base our currency on. But the true currency in this world is us, because the true value is us, because without us, those rocks and papers have no value whatsoever. The things you have, the 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats, have no value unless it is within your grasp. And
Mhm.
without you, it's just stuff. That's where
I
the true
I
value
agree
is.
with you. You go so fast. I think people listening will miss that you dropped like 4 bombs in there. Like, there's
They
big
need, well,
bombs of meaning of
they
life
could
and
they could they
purpose
could
of
they could slow
soul,
it
and
down.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, like, there's I don't disagree with any of the stuff you're saying. It's just I just don't wanna also diminish the power of what you're saying because it's
sure,
so quickly. And so there's like a
sure.
lot of potency in the things that you're saying, like the currency of like us, which is soul or connection or heart or love,
Yes,
the things that make us, and then the value of meaning that we bring to things, which is the only currency that stones or items or things have, comes from the meaning
yes,
that we give them, the value that we feel about them. Again, currency for us then would be feeling or heart or
sure. Absolutely. Yes.
connection or sharing or whatever it would be. The currency
Real
seems to be
feelings.
intangible. And that
Yes,
we I don't want to go through too fast on that, because hey, wait a second, the meaning of life isn't my occupation or my things I've gathered. It's going to be in connection and love.
correct,
And you're like, wait a second, but why
correct.
is so many things right now trying to I still want to get back to that. If there are dark forces to try to make it so what we have to keep doing this game over and over again, what do they get
Yes.
from that? Like, what
They
currency is
get
there from them?
energy is the currency for that. And
Hmm.
that, what I mean by energy is these negative energies, what we would call demons and devils and all that stuff.
Sure.
They are the same thing as we have demons and devils here. We just call them shitty people. That's what we call them. And these are the people who are shitty people. And then when it comes time for them to die and go away, they see that light. They could walk into that loving place, or they could stay here in this low energy place, and a lot of them do, and they become these negative energies. Not everything there is negative, because I see dogs and cats and horses and cows and fish walking
Sure.
around doing all kinds of stuff too. So a lot of those are just lost because they don't realize they've died. Because when you step up out of your body, you don't always realize that you have died. But a lot of them know where they are because they understand that they see everything changing here, because they can see, cars from 50 years ago don't look like cars now. So they understand that part of it, but they still don't have a sense of time. But they themselves who are in that lower energy place, even regular beings that are people and dogs, cats, horses, kills fish, they have to have energy there because there's not a lot of energy to survive off of it. So they have to collect it. And I see it. Uh, no other medium's going to talk about this, Rick, because you know why? Because they don't see it and they're full of shit. That's why. There's bands of energy that go through there that look like rivers, and they have to walk up to that river, and they have to cock their head back and go into a dream state, like, and collect it, and then they collect it, and then why don't we understand it here? Because you don't do it here. That's why.
Mm.
But you do it here. Why? Because when you get triggered from someone else who's being angry at you, you pick up on their energy and go into their bad energy place. We do it here, but we just do it in a different way.
Yeah.
Right. And now, so those negative ones, the real bad ones that I see all the time, when I see them, or if when I'm doing a reading with someone, I see this like red mist around somebody, that's the negative people in our lives. But when I see an actual being who's glowing red, that's a negative energy. He needs a lot more, and he needs negative energy in order to survive. So he can get some of it off the people that are there in this low energy realm, but he knows where a smorgasbord is, and they come through here,
Mm.
and they stand around us. I mean, the people who tell you that, "Oh, I have a haunted house. Oh my god, there's so much going on and all this stuff." The other part that they're not telling you is that person is a piece of crap. And that's why it's going on, because they are the negative buffet that's enabling no spirit to come through and collect all this negative energy off of them. At the
Do you
same
think
time, giving them a little bit of negative energy so they stay negative, so they will remain a buffet for them.
here's a term that I use because I know that we have like the kind of like the judgmental element of like that person's a piece of crap like that, and
Sure.
we can say it could be observational, but a lot of times I've noticed with there are people who have intent and get pleasure from hurting people. Like there are those
Right,
people
because
that
it
does
makes them feel
exist.
good.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's the
it
only
makes them feel
sense
good
of joy
inside.
they get. But I would say a
Yes,
vast
well, joy, but
majority.
it gives them a sense of power. Like the person who comes and says, "Oh, they gossip about everybody," and you know that person before that point where they're all, well, they like, "Oh, I don't want to talk to them because they're not like us," and blah 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 blah. But then when they come in with all the gossip, oh, and then that since they got that, now they got something over on everybody else that gives them a sense of power, which gives them that sense of joy, and they
Agreed.
keep on doing it.
Agreed. And that's judgmental demolition or reputation demolition, the gossiping and the tearing other people down
You
to
did it to
connect.
yourself. Yeah,
Now, the reason I
self
bring this up
sabotage.
is instead of saying, well, they're a piece of shit, what I've realized is if you look at the behavior, even let's just stick with like the gossip, judgmental demolition, I'm going to judge them and tear them
Sure.
down to make me feel better. That would mean
Yes.
that I'm going to bring you to an energy level that I can connect with. In which case, if my connection
Correct.
level is hate, if my connection level is talking shit about other people, if my connection point is let's say bad things about others because I can connect with saying bad things, like bad things as a connector. What it is it's
Right.
showing really how damaged or hurt I am. Because if the only
Yes.
connector point that I can connect with you is negativity, that shows what I talk about myself in the mirror. And
Right.
the reality is it reveals you to yourself, because the only point that I can connect with another person, even spiritually or emotionally, is through hurt. And that means I'm
Yes.
hurt. So I would probably
Yeah.
say there are, maybe I'd probably even put a small percentage of people who truly desire and get pleasure from hurting other people. There are that.
They do.
But I would say a
They do.
majority of people are just hurt people by other hurt people. And it's a generational thing of I just don't know how to get out of the hurt of this. And that's the only connector point that I've got. In which case I
Right.
believe those ones it's trainable, that like you said, the choice to be a piece of shit. Well, some
Yeah.
people are just hurt, and that's where I think the negative energies would be like, ooh, this one is vulnerable because they're hurting. And
Absolutely.
because they're
The drug
hurting,
addicts, the
that's gonna,
alcoholics, everything.
well, it's
Yeah.
just hurt because that's the denial system of I can't deal with this pain. I need a distraction away from it. And that's where the drugs and that's where the alcohol, or that's where, any number
Right.
of vices. I can go down the list of
Right. But
distractions.
this is what society has supplied us with, the drugs and the alcohol and the hurt as well, because
Oh,
they
we're
want
not,
you to
it's not, we
remain
got,
hurt.
we
So
got
yeah.
porn, we got TV shows, we've got, blame it on my family. We've got social media, we've got spouses, we've got, the work,
Well,
work, work.
please don't down the porn, Rick. Just kidding. So okay. Yeah.
Don't it's all got a purpose. Get your
Yeah, yeah,
distractions.
yeah, it does.
But even
Yeah.
positive things like overworking as a distraction, or even fitness, or
Yes.
the comparisons. There are all these different things that people are doing right now because we're
Yes.
hurt. And
Right.
these are the vices
Society
that
does
we'll
this.
go to because we're not
Right.
okay. And that's why the grieving element is so important, because it seems like these dark spirits, or like you said, the red beings. I've never seen them. This is your gift. I do not, but
Yeah,
I
you
do
don't want
know.
to you don't want
I,
that gift. It ain't a gift.
I'm
That part's not a gift.
Listen, listen, my gift is gnarly as it is. So like I don't even want to play with your side. My side's already pretty tough. And so as
Yeah.
far as I'm with you on, there's a negative element of having this gift. I am very with
There
you.
is.
And
Yeah.
so with
Nobody wants this.
some of the things that we see and some of the things that are there, it's really difficult to have people just go, you're a piece of shit on this one. Like, you are trained to be a piece of shit, but you don't have to be. And I think I just want to put
Correct.
this like this hope
No one
that's in
does.
there, because most people are just hurt people. Most are hurt people.
Yes.
So it's very rare that I run into somebody whose joy is damaging folks. It's very rare that, like, that's where I love I feel the best when I hurt people, and that just shows also how severely broken they are.
Yes,
And so most people, if they just learn how to do grieving, there's a lot of disorders that I have like completely removed from people's lives, bipolar disorders and PTSD and anxiety, depression. These things are even the unaliving thoughts, like the things where like I want to I don't like myself, or I'm not okay, or I want to hurt me. And these things are all beatable if we can just change some of the narrative around, I guess, the way we judge others. Is like instead of
correct.
saying
Because
you're a piece of
it's
shit,
the
going like, damn, you're really
yes.
hurt.
They don't want you to have any trust and faith within yourself to be able to do anything because they want you to believe that they can take care of you and they'll do everything for you
Hmm.
while supplying this negativity to you at the same time. The drugs and the
Mm.
alcohol and the porn and everything else and the bad horrible news and everything's everything's murder and rape and all this other stuff going on all the time. And they want to compound it on top of you all the time, with 90% of that, with only 10%. Oh, I can help you, but you still got to live through all this other crap too.
Okay. So
Here's
then
the
it would
here's the
be,
thing. We have them out there. We have they. They tell you one day to wear this type of shoe, and they tell you this next day to wear this type of shoe, and they
sure.
tell you to eat bacon one day, and they tell you to eat not eat bacon the next day. The problem is they what they need to do is they need to shut the hell up. But what we need to do is we need to stop listening, and that's the big problem.
Oh, you're talking
We
about
listen
you're talking about
because
the
inquiring
royal
one,
they,
yeah,
not the they them.
yeah, well, it's they them. It's yeah, the they them is the royal they or the presidential they or everybody else who's in control of us. The
You
populace of the big corporations and big drug companies and all that. The oil companies, they own everybody.
you're talking
Everybody
about
is a slave to this
you're
world.
talking about the big they, not the gender they.
Yes. No, no, not yeah, not the yeah. I don't. When I see spirit, I see men and women. Now I see other beings, and I'm not exactly sure what they are because a lot of times they're whatever hide something. I see men and women. Now, what I don't see is I don't see anybody discriminating each other because I see women making out and I see men making out and then I see men and women making out and I don't just see them making out, they're doing everything else too. And I see it all. Then people think, oh, they really do that? Yes, they really do that because love is still love because love has
Mhm.
no boundaries. So yes, but when but there's no one there. I mean, if do you have any tattoos, Rick?
I do. I got a couple tattoos.
Well, good. You can enjoy them now because when you turn into spirit, you don't have them.
That's cool. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
So,
That's a,
what you also don't take is you don't take your individual. I'm going to be this gender and I'm going to be that gender. What the one thing you will have is I don't make the rules, but I explain the rules. If you're here in this day and age and you're changing your parts, I'm telling you, you're coming back
mm.
because God created a perfect body. And he wanted you to learn the lessons that you needed to learn in your body. And you could choose to go and put a penis on you, but you could always choose not to.
It's an
It's a
interesting thing.
choice is everything.
I've actually done work with people who have gender identity. I've helped people through really difficult stuff, and to also accept and love who they are and how they are. And it's actually been very effective. And so this
You
is
want me to explain
obviously,
that?
what's that?
Want me to explain gender identity?
Uh,
And how can
well,
I
you
explain
can.
gender identity? I can, because you may come into this world as a woman maybe 6 or 7 times, and then that 7th time, you come in as a man.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't you have feelings of a woman? Because it's the same soul.
Same soul.
You have you
I
have
agree
so
with you.
many experiences, so many lifetimes that you come into this world. You are sometimes a man and sometimes a woman, and you are them all the time.
Mhm.
And your soul picks up the experiences of each one of those lifetimes, and it doesn't the soul. I'm doing a show pretty soon called The Unintuitive about these people who want you to believe that they can do everything for you. Again, like with this subject we're talking about, but they can't do it for you. And they're the ones that say, well, I can take away your past life trauma. That doesn't happen. That can't happen. It's not possible. Once you leave here, and the reason you are here is because you've been to heaven, and just like the other 7.5 billion people, you had to come back. Once you leave here and you go home to heaven, all that trauma, all the hurt, all the negativity, everything gets washed away. And then you come back into a new body with the same soul, but the soul has all the experiences and it has everything that it learned. but it does not have pain, nor does it hold pain. And it's not going to bring old pain that it no longer has into a new body to learn new lessons and fulfill that purpose. So everyone who says that, oh, I can take your past life trauma away, is full of shit. They're just trying to take your money from you. But yeah, the these things, once you go home to heaven, it all gets washed away. You don't get
Mhm.
it back. So, but you are here to learn these lessons, and you are here to figure out that, that God sends you here in a man's body. You're here to do things as that man. But nowadays, we have been doing that for hundreds and thousands of years. But now, in the past 100 years, now all of a sudden we're allowed to change our genders because why? Because people want individuality. That's
True.
what they want. But you're already an individual. You don't
Also
need to
true.
change the outside because it's not going to change the inside. The inside soul is learning about what the outside self is going through.
Yeah, I'm going to
But
lean
it's
in
not going
with you on the acceptance element of it, because even when I've worked with people who are working through, the transgender isms, I've talked to people in multiple phases and in multiple levels, and there's a couple of things also too is to be able to have acceptance of your individuality without feeling like you're a mistake. And that's one of the big curses I see is that people in that sphere are told that somehow you are built wrong, like somehow you are wrong, you are made wrong.
no.
And
Mm-mm.
that's a really difficult thing, is because, like, I study also the psychology of what's happening is if you believe that you are built incorrectly, you are wrong. Not necessarily that you
Right.
have a male with feminine traits or a female with male traits, because, like, that's very
Right.
true. Like, even a person who I regard as
Sure.
like a family person to me, female, but it's like I have very male beliefs and feelings and thoughts. I'm like I was definitely a dude in a past life, or a dude soul in a female body,
Yeah.
and
Why
there was
wouldn't you
this
be?
there was a
Yeah.
big dissonance that they were struggling with until I could get them to see, like, you are by no means a mistake. You are an amazing person. You
No.
you aren't a mistake, and they could work on acceptance of self. They still have those thoughts of, like, I still enjoy very male tendencies. I enjoy doing male things even in my
Yeah.
female body, but I have acceptance of self and love of
Right.
self. And that was a very
Right.
powerful moment and breakthrough for, like, people who go through those things to go, I'm actually not a mistake. And if that belief system is there that I am in the wrong body, they were looking at the unaliving rates of that, even post body change, post surgery, was still over
Sure.
50%, which means even after you change the exterior, you still feel like I am a mistake. And
Correct.
that's a higher death rate than Holocaust survivors and slavery. Like, there was lower unaliving rates in those type of traumas than there are as I am born a mistake. That has a
Yes.
higher unaliving rate than anything else. And that
But they
is a
don't know that
very
they're a
interesting
mistake
thing.
until someone told them they are.
Correct. You have to be sold and have a belief system that you are
Right.
born wrong. And that's an
Right. So
interesting
some
sales
used car
pitch.
salesman told that you are wrong. Again, accept thyself. Stop accepting what other people say to you. You don't
You have
have
to
to listen to them. You can turn
challenge
them off. You
everything.
can walk away. Yeah.
You have to challenge
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, you could say, "You know what? I'm not," again, it's the society. This all comes down to society teaching us to not have any trust and faith within ourselves to
Hmm.
be ourselves, not trusting yourself that you can do and be and go out and do whatever you want in this world without anyone else telling you that you can't. But when you listen to them, that's why they are the way they are now because they listened to them. They bought it.
Yes. They
Well,
bought the
the
sales
only
pitch.
person you can right, and the only person you can blame for that is themselves for buying it.
Well, they
But they
didn't
wanna
know yet.
but they wanna
Like, we
it's
can't
everyone
we
else's
can't
fault.
we yeah, but we can't have a defense against things we don't understand. Like, we can't make
Well,
choices that we don't know about yet, like, and so
right,
being a child being told that you're a problem because you were born the way you were born, they're like, I don't have a way to challenge that yet. I'm still a kid. I don't have the
right,
development yet to really go against a parent or a mentor or a teacher or a coach or an adult in any phase to go, like, I can say at a 7-year-old mind, I can actually challenge these belief systems. Like, I guess I
correct,
must be bad because a person who's in charge or supposed to guide, protect, and take care of me is telling me I was born incorrectly. This is
right,
this is why it's difficult, because, like, as much as I want to go take accountability, you 7-year-old, Well, they don't have the
Right.
tools yet because the only people
Right,
teaching
but
them
that's where it comes down
are
to the
corrupting them.
accountability. We need to teach differently. We are still stuck on teaching our children about fairy tales about you're going to find a prince and you're going to find a princess, or maybe you're a prince who wants a prince, or you know what, whatever. Whatever you feel is best for you is best for you, and what's best for you isn't always best for someone else. But
Correct.
we are putting too many standards out there that you have to be a certain way. We still have we still have models going out and running the runway, and you have to be this big around. You can't be this big around. We are pushing too much of this, but yet everyone's coming out and saying, "But you're doing this all to me." No, we're not doing it to you. Yes, you are. We are doing. We are the cause and effect thing is we are causing it, and this is the effect. And
Hmm.
the only people who we can blame for that is everybody. Why? Because we are allowing it to happen. Again, because we are
Fair.
listening to they do it to us and we are allowing it to happen. So when are we going to stop allowing it to happen and actually stand up and say, you know what? Enough is enough. You're killing my whole generational family. You're killing my friends, my kids, everything out there because you want to have power and control over me. That's
It's a
what you're
tough.
doing.
It's a tough
So when do we
calling.
stand up?
Well, it's a
Yeah,
tough calling because the concept of standing up will require organization, and even that by itself is difficult to do without, using a program that's run by they. And so
right.
that's difficult to do because anytime people have said, "Hey, this is wrong," well, then that also gets shut down. You'll be, shut down completely. And we've also seen certain, like, there's what was the name of it? Was it Parlor? Something like that. There was a social media that was supposed to be pushing free speech. Like anyone can do free speech here. And, it was really glazed over with the they that exists.
Yes.
That was a company that was like, hey, we're going to do a social media network where you can have free speech. Doesn't seem like a big deal, right? They're all supposed to do that, right? They don't.
Well,
In which
supposedly.
case, that's when you saw Voltron show up. I call it Voltron, when all the lion bots put back together became Superbot. And what happened was then you saw like Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Apple, Google, they all lion botted together to form an alliance that erased this company off of everything, like deleted
Sure.
the company, which is highly illegal to do, to just
Sure.
erase.
Like
They
the
erased
electric
them.
companies.
Yep.
Yeah, the same thing the electric
Destroyed it.
companies did to, Tesla. Same thing. Yeah.
Well, the concept of I want to start a free speech company, then having all of these companies break the law blatantly and government going, the fuck are we supposed to do? If that Voltron ever went towards the government, they could shut us the fuck down. And they could.
Right.
If Apple,
The only way
Google,
that
every
you could truly bypass that is not having it on social network or any type of internet because that's where it will absolutely get shut down. It didn't get shut down before we had the internet because you didn't hear about it because it was just certain groups in areas and that's how it truly grew. It just spread out to other ways and that's why we had that's why we had the war against the North and the South because one section said I don't believe in this and the other one said we didn't have an internet to get it shut down because if they
right.
had it, they would have shut it down.
It's true. Well, this gets back to the question of like, well, if that Voltron exists, how do we stand up again against that? Like, how do we do it? I'm not saying don't, but if we have a thing that goes like, oh, you guys have a site where you guys all communicate to make sure that you guys are able to, make a stand or protest or, work against, and we own that, we could just delete that. And then now you have to
Sure,
start all over again. And so we'll use emails then, like, yeah, but we own the emails. So we'll just delete your email account. Like, fuck. All right. Well, what about if I want to have a rally together? They're like, well, yeah, how would you send it to everybody? Because I could just delete you from that too. And you're like, fuck, how do I do it? And that's going to be the battle. I think that's going to be if people are going to do it right. How do we do it when all of the networks, like even to have an app to be able to do that, is owned by Amazon? The servers are owned by Amazon.
to get everybody to show up in one single place and for everybody to leave their electronics at home.
Yeah,
That's how you do
shit.
it.
We got to use the electronics to get them there, though. Damn it.
Right, you gotta well, you form a different type of group that has nothing to do with it, and then eventually when you get there to the meeting, you say, "Well, hey, everybody, this is what's going on. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna change this whole group. It's gonna be a different form of communication. We're not gonna be using electronics to do our form of communication. We'll actually do that the way that people used to do it a long time ago, talking to each other. That's what we can do. And if we have to, we'll do it in code because, do you remember, who was it? The Wind Talkers? The Wind Talkers back I think it was First World War or Second World War. Might have been First World War, but the Wind Talkers were Indians, and they were using code in their Indian language to get messages across to other countries and stuff like that because they were taught how to do it. Not only they knew how to do it, and that's why we won part of the war there. Not that we should be going to war for anything because we shouldn't, because we're all
No,
just people. We all live on the same planet. No one's going anywhere anytime soon, so we better start to get along with each other before we annihilate each
true.
other. So we have a group that we get together, and you'll eventually, just like any other group, you'll have to weed out the people who just don't belong in the group, and then find other people because they're going to find other people too. And then if you want to get this group to grow, you have to go out and find your people, and that's
That's
one of the things I was talking
it's a
about. You got
big
to go out and find your
challenge.
people. Yeah, it is a
I
big
got I
challenge,
got a
but it's
thing
got to
then.
start somewhere, right?
Sure, of course. No, I'm not disagreeing. There's got to be a movement. It's just gonna have to be such an interesting way to do it.
I don't
You
think we're
went
disagreeing about anything here.
No, we're not. So far, I'm with you. So as far as this one goes, you said something very quickly, and I also want to go back and grab it up because it's important to understand this sentence because I don't think people even know what the word means. You said that love beats all. Like
Yeah.
love can transcend and beat everything. Love it'll beat all
Yes.
of it. And I don't know if people are able to
The
grasp it because
Beatles had it
people are,
right.
yeah, all you need is love. And so like
Correct.
with this thing, or even I think Einstein had a thing where it's like the answer is love. Like that's like the
Yes.
thing where it's like that's a thing. Now because I've been able to open my heart, open my soul, and connect with people, I now understand love at a completely different level. Like, and now that
Yeah.
I get it, I'm like, I get it. But I talk to people on a daily basis who try to do love and don't know how to be in love or connect in love or be open in love and go, oh my God.
Because
Now there
they
also
don't have
are,
enough love around them.
well,
Right.
even if they did, they wouldn't know how to receive it because their hearts are still like a strainer. And so even if given to them, it just pours out of them instead of being able to actually hold the love they're given. And so they would
Yeah.
reject the love anyways because they don't like thyself or know thyself enough to even receive. And so
Right.
repressed hearts or suppressed hearts or closed off, energies of themselves would make it so even if they had the best of love, they still wouldn't know what to do with it. I think that there's an element there that if we were really able to kind of go into, and this is going to sound probably silly, almost like a modern hippie concept, more of a controlled than a reckless
Yeah.
version of it, of like, no,
Yeah. I
we
was just gonna say that.
love each
Yeah.
other,
The
like
love
being able to
group.
say like,
The
but
love
I'm
group.
not,
Yeah.
I don't love and then not work. I don't love and then not bathe. I don't
Right.
love and then not take care of my business. I don't love and become, a pacifist in the way that I'm fucking useless. I can still protect and
Right.
honor and love and take care of
Absolutely.
people. I'm still proficient. I just choose when to be dangerous because I don't have to be that all the
Correct.
time, and
Correct.
so the idea of love beating all, there are entities right now, and I want to kind of throw it out there into the thing where let's go into ways that people are tapping into spirituality, ways that people are tapping into connecting with love, gets into the taboo conversations I've had with many people of psychedelics, whether it be psilocybin or
Oh
MDMA
boy.
or
Yeah.
LSD, these types of DMT, these things where people are doing things
False
to
love,
be able to.
false tactics, false tools that are going to get you. Yeah, I was
Maybe.
on somebody's. I was watching a friend of mine who was doing a show, and she's also a medium. She had these two guys on there who were telling people that if you did mushrooms, you could tap into psychic, you could tap into spirit. And I said, absolutely not. You're going on a psychedelic trip. That's all you're doing. It's clouding the mind and everything. That's the biggest filter. People don't they can't get past is they think the mind is everything, but the mind is nothing. The brain doesn't do anything as far as you being you. The brain does one thing. It makes all the little parts work. So all the things that all the scientists are telling you that this temporal lobe and all that other bullshit that's holding everything and all your memories, if that was the truth, then how come people come to me to talk to their mom and dads who are in spirit? Yet those spirits don't
I
have a
think
brain
it's
anymore.
different. I think it's a different thing. So this is the only thing so far I can say I can challenge a little bit with you. While I would say very untrained and escapism and people who do it and just think that like you do this with no training and no understanding that you now tap into psychic abilities, I am with
Right.
you. That's fucking silly. I'm with you because like that's not how I've experienced any of these things. Also, I follow like Rick Doblin and people who work at Lycos and trying to do the therapeutic element for they're using MDMA, for example, and getting
Sure.
ridiculously good results because it's not because
But
they're
they can
tapping into
only
spirit stuff,
but
but it
they
helps
can
you work
they
through
but they can only
acceptance.
but they can only I get
Not
it all the time
true.
and I don't use anything.
Not the same thing. This is where I think we have to be clear on like the clarity of
Okay.
it. I don't believe that I don't believe super psilocybin or MDMA gives you superpowers or makes you have
No.
a new ability. I don't agree with that. So that part, if somebody is saying, if I do take a mushroom, then I will also have Daniel's ability. I don't agree with that. That doesn't work that
They
way.
won't.
But
They
does it
won't.
open up elements of your spirit or soul that you may have had repressed or closed off to be able to say, like, even what your capability just as your soul, does it open up those elements of closed doors? I have experienced that. It doesn't mean I have
Well,
your
in a sense,
abilities.
right. In a sense, it would, in the same way that alcohol will take all your inabilities away to act like a crazy being and walk around and say the things you normally wouldn't say and do the things you normally wouldn't do.
Maybe to a degree, but not the same because alcohol makes me feel sick. Like I don't
For
feel
you, but
good.
not
Right.
everybody. Right.
Well, if you drink enough of it, you'll be very sick. And so like and
Well,
or
yeah, yeah,
die.
you can get alcohol poisoning, sure.
Right. Psilocybin, though, I've even taken very, very high doses and been able to just go into those inner spirit, like the past life stuff, or understand thyself. Or I've gone in and done like dungeon work. How deep can I get in here to know thyself? And I've done the things that people say are
Well,
supposed to be scary,
But but
and
the
you'll
but the
find
but the
parts
past
of
life
you.
things are no longer the past life things are no longer thyself because thyself is thyself now. The past
Correct.
lives that you lived were important when you were living them, but they're not important now because if they were so important, you wouldn't be here now. You would be back at home, staying at home. The reason you're here is because you didn't get it done at what you were supposed to do, and that's why you're back again. But those past
Agreed.
lives, people want to do past lives because they want to have a story about, oh, I was related to a king or a queen. Well, you want to relate to somebody who stood on the backs of other people who are pieces of crap? No.
Agreed. That part I agree with you too. I agree. The
So
past life,
that stuff
even the
doesn't need to be
concept.
worked on. Yeah, but
Agreed.
that stuff doesn't need to be worked on because you've already done it already.
Nor
Yeah,
am I
that's like the
saying
same thing as your past. Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't working on past life. It was more acknowledgement
sure.
of experience, not necessarily I need to do work
Yeah,
there. So
yeah,
there's a thing though, because I had to challenge your concept of is there a past life thing? Well, there were. Now, can I go
yeah.
through and work on the past life thing or be like live in that life? No, that's already passed. I agree
No,
with you.
there's no need
That's
to.
not a
It's
thing.
already over,
It's
done. Yeah. Just like
agreed.
you don't want you don't want the things from your past showing up on your future job application. Same thing.
Sure, but the point is it was there. So that
Yeah.
would confirm that what you were saying wasn't fucking crazy because there was a thing there. Now that was
The
weird.
knowledge.
The knowledge was there. There was a knowledge there. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that's interesting because I wish I could say spirit medium Daniel Jackson is full of shit. But then when I go in and do deep work and go in to go, how far can I go? And then some of the stuff that Daniel Jackson, who's supposed to be full of shit, said is actually there. And then you're like, okay, maybe he's not full of shit because I found some of the stuff he said was there. Now, does that mean that's who I am or a past life is now my story? I didn't get enough information for that. Again, it didn't give me superpowers. It just goes,
The other
those
part
things
that
are
would
there.
the other part that would tell you that I'm not full of shit is I did it without doing anything.
Again,
I just did it by being me and having the ability to do it without having to have something else to enhance it or to
not
start
taking
it up.
away not taking away from your power. That's not by no
Yeah.
means. But I do not have that gift. I don't have that ability. But I won't
I
say that
also
there
have the
isn't
ability to
something.
having to yeah, I also have the ability of having to take out the trash every night too. Just
That's
kidding.
listen, there's a lot of women who are like, can you teach my husband?
Yeah.
So as
Yeah.
far as this one
Uh,
though, I'm giving validity
my
to
ability
some of the
doesn't
things that you said, but I also am
yeah,
not taking away from what you do. because by no means
Right,
have I can I tap into what you do, no matter how much I fucking
right.
do.
I can tap. I don't have to tap in to do it.
Mhm.
It's here for me, it's here all the time. Like right now, as I'm talking to you and saying I don't have to tap in to do it, I'm being touched on my face. So it's always there for me. I
Right.
do know other mediums who can turn it on and turn it off. I cannot do that. But I'm also able to do things they cannot do because they are not meant to have it on all the time. So and these other people have to tap into it or to have to do something in order to jumpstart it in order to tap into it. And
Mhm.
that's the difference between myself and them, where I can just all I have to do is ask. I don't have to take anything or inject anything in order to get myself into a state in order to ask those things or in order to do that work. But what I'm here to tell everybody is they can do that without having to do that. But the way that you're saying it is again, it's the easy way.
I don't know if it
But you're
was
not gonna
easy
get it you're not gonna get it right, it's not but you're not gonna get true clarity by doing it. You're gonna get
unless uh,
a
again,
filtered,
I
blocked
got I'm going to
clarity
challenge just a
there.
little bit because if you
Sure.
go in untrained without purpose and without understanding, it's going to be just blindly walking around. That thing I will
Yes,
definitely agree with you. If somebody goes in without a guide or without understanding or without training, it's a waste of fucking time. You're not wrong. They're just going to aimlessly wander around with no purpose. I
but
go
the
in with
person who's
purpose.
training also only knows that way and doesn't know the actual true way to do it either. So, the
I
person
think
it's like the blind leading the blind is what you're getting there.
maybe. And Daniel, this is where I want to take it just off of you for a second. Just like not to take away from any of your gift or strength. Like you
I'm gonna hit
have
my I'm gonna hit my shut off button.
in which case, yeah, I have to mute myself often too. It's not to
Yeah.
say you don't have a special thing. That's
Oh,
not to
yeah.
take that away. You have some gift I can't tap into, but I
Oh,
have seen
I'm the shizzle dizzle, I know I
you're the
am.
shizzle. You are the shizzle dizzle. I'm saying I have
Yeah,
seen
I'm not bragging.
radical changes in people's ability to work through very hard things. And I don't necessarily think that using a psychedelic correctly is the easy way.
Correct.
It's fucking brutal if done correctly,
Yeah.
but effective as hell. And I've done the equivalent of 15 years of traditional therapy that would be done in 8 hours. And so that's not the easy way. That's we're going into a battle way. And that type of stuff, I wouldn't agree with you. That's easy. Now, can I even try to recommend doing what you're doing? That's not even on the table. Not one of the options that I even have. Because I don't have that gift. I have a discernment gift. I don't have the gift
Yeah.
of sight that you have. I have a very different gift. And so being able to tap into what you do, I can't use that gift. And that's where you have a vision where I have a discernment. I don't have the vision. And so
Yeah.
that's a very
I
different
have the
thing.
vision. I get told things.
Mhm. And so I'm with you on the getting told things. I get messages that aren't mine all the time, but I don't get them as the way that you are
Fluently?
saying them. Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
fluent like that. They come usually in the middle of the night and things like that is where I'll get those. So I have a
Right.
break things down thing, usually when the veil is at its weakest. Like those are the moments where I'll have to get up and I write stuff. And some of my best work and some of my best writing has come from a middle of the night thought that wasn't even mine. So I
Or
can't
taking
deny
a shower or taking a shit.
pending. Pending. But even
Yeah.
still, I will say that using some of these things, and I would argue with like deep knowledge of, there are certain psychedelics, if done correctly, would really eliminate a lot of problems today. Especially, I want to like really push the value of like the Rick Doblin thing with MDMA. I really do believe, if used correctly, would really take away a lot of the hatred, hurt, and pain of like divorce and not knowing and loving each other. And it kills love, like love killers. This at least would it be a tool, not the cure. Very fucking clear. Not the cure, but the tool that could make it so you get out of your way for a little bit and listen to your person with acceptance instead of stay in the way with needing to control. Very useful tool, especially if done with the right people. And that's something I kind of do want to throw out. Like, will it be as effective as speaking to a spirit medium? If they don't
No.
necessarily understand the belief of what you do or don't get it yet, that may also not be effective because people would just disregard truth, which, like you said, can't handle the truth. And that
Well,
would be
the reason it
hard even if you
won't be
told them.
effective, again, you're inducing him with some type of drug in order to do that, and that's just not the way, because you have a beautiful white light within you. You have a powerful soul within you that has all the knowledge within you. But until you take the time to do the actual dirty work of getting rid of everything else, just drugging yourself again is not going to help you. No matter if it's the people who say, "Oh, I can train you to do it," but they themselves don't have the ability to actually do it. They had to find a drug again to do it. And a drug, that's not the way that God wants us to do it. Again, life is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be hard, but you're meant to get through it and try to figure out, I don't have to do all this bullshit. I can learn to let it go. I can learn to trust and have faith within myself and not listen to anyone else or everyone else tell me that I can't have trust and faith with myself. You can, but you really have to want to do it. Some people can be 600 pounds and get down to 100 pounds, and some people can't. But you know what? Again, they worked their asses off to get it.
Literally.
If you do it, if you do it in a false way, you're constantly going to rely on that false way, and that false way is never going to give you true happiness and true love and true joy and true unity with your own self. It's never going to do it. No matter how much we can talk about it and argue about it, it's never going to do it, because it's a drug. It's not real. It's fabricated. The only thing it's not fabricated is your soul. But you have to be able to fabricate the will and the wantingness to actually get in touch with your soul.
I'm
I
agreeing with you.
when I
It's the
when I
semantics of it. I'm agreeing with you, but
what
it's the
well,
semantics.
I'm only giving you a brief part of what I actually do as well.
True.
There's other things that once we are off camera, I will tell you about that I actually do, but I can't tell them on camera, Rick. I
Oh,
can't.
will scare the crap out of people.
No, you'll never
Oh,
hear from me again.
oh, okay, fair enough.
So, and what I'm talking about and all this stuff that I'm talking about with you, that I talk about with everybody, is about 20% of what I'm able to do.
Sure, and I agree
There's
with you
things
there. I do the
when
same thing.
when especially like when we talk about having the gift and being able to see things, but I see, hear, feel, and experience things. I see things that no one wants to see, and
Hmm.
I can't turn it off. But in order to get the answers that I do, I have to have all that. So that's part of the ability in order to have this part of the ability. When you take the
Understood.
drug, you're only getting the one little thing. And I'm
Correct.
telling you, off camera, once I tell it to you, you're going to say you're correct. Because I'm telling you, you don't want the rest of it. You don't. It's not pleasant. Being touched by an archangel is not like the freaking TV show.
Mm.
It's not. Now, this is what I had to go through. Once every 2 weeks, I would get little cold touches on my body. And this is them so that I could see them, hear them, feel them, communicate with them better. They were working on my soul so I could get to where I'm at now. And this was a process. And that was something that happened to me in the very beginning. And after those touches, I'd wake up and I would be throwing up and shitting everywhere for 3 or 4 hours. Then I would heal up and then I'd be okay for about 2 weeks. And then that 2 week later, it would happen again, and that would repeat the process. And that went on for 3 years. That's what it takes to be me. That's the kind of commitment it takes to be me. I see I see negative energies walking around all the time. I know from seeing negative energies walk around all the time that when you if you don't cross over into heaven and you stay here, that's because you still hold your pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, and anguish, and you chose to be here. There is no one can keep you from going one place and say you're going to go to another place. They can't do that. No one can do that for you. Okay, you're doing that by your choice. I have seen these negative energies walk around. If you've ever seen a murder mystery movie where someone kills somebody and then they take police do an outline of the person on the ground, I've seen beings walking around that look like an outline being. Okay, it's just an outline of a person. There's no face, nothing, and their outline is in white, but that white line goes from white to yellow to red. And then they have these squiggly lines that go through them, white to yellow to red. And that's a negative energy. And these negative energies were walking around and they were going over the other energies who they needed to steal their energy from because they're the negative ones. And they were choking them and punching them and kicking the shit out of them. And so I know that spirit feel pain. So when you're on the other side, on the earthbound side, and another spirit comes up to you and smacks you in the face, you still feel it. That's what you're saying yes to going over there. But some of them are just comfortable being there because they don't want to have to come back and live another life again. And that's why a lot of them stay there. Now, these things are beating the shit out of them and then dragging them off. Now, I know there's no such place as hell, but I do know there's an inner, darker, deeper realm of that earthbound place because I've been there, because archangels have sent me there. And I've gone there in my meditation and seen the most horrible things you'd ever see in your entire life. And I see that every single day. So if you're going to medicate yourself to go get a power that you think I have, you better sit down and shut the fuck up because you don't know what you're doing. And you're going to cause yourself some problems that you don't know what you're doing. I just talked to a friend of mine who I'm going to do a video about because she has an ability. And I told her how to take care of that and how to work through it and everything, but she didn't. She went on throughout the years just dabbling in it and dabbling in it. Well, she went to do a meditation. And with that meditation, she actually did a astral projection that she didn't know she was going into, went into the deep, dark realm, heard the voice, and the voice called her in and she went to it. And then she felt herself going down into a deep, dark hole. She was able to actually drag herself out of it. And when she finally came out of it, now she's going to the doctors because she's all fucked up. And the doctors can't figure out what is going on with her. What's going on with her is she picked up residual energy from this negative energy place, and that's affecting her body, and she can't get rid of it, and the doctors don't know how to diagnose her. So you want to mess around with drugs, go right ahead. But when you get all fucked up from it, that's your fucking fault and that's your problem. And I don't give a shit about you because you chose to do it. And you may think it's giving you something, but it's doing more to hurt you than it is giving you something. I'm telling you, it's not the way. There is a true way to do it. But again, taking the medications and taking the drugs to do that is an absolute freaking cop out because people don't want to do the fucking work. Well, if you want to get if you want to get joy, if you want to get the pain free of all the negativity and all the pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, and anguish in your life, then you got to do the goddamn work. And taking some supplement or some other expert told you, well, this is going to work because I know how it works. You know why he knows how it works? Because that's the only way he knows it works because he doesn't know how to do the other real thing. And that's why there's so many of these other practitioners out there who are teaching you everything is love and light and all that stuff because they don't know either. And people need to know life is not easy. It's going to be hard, but you got to work through it. And if you're not willing to work through it, you're a quitter. And I refuse to believe that anybody will just quit. And I'm going to do my best in my entire life. The rest I have left is 26 years because I'm going to die when I'm 83 in the third week of August on a Wednesday night on August 18th of 2049. I'm out of here. But I'm going to do my damnedest to get everybody on board to let them know they don't have to do it falsely. They don't have to take a drug to do it. They can do it for themselves. They can get in touch, but you got to do the work. And if you don't do the work, that's not my problem. But I'm going to help everybody out there who actually wants to do the work.
That's
The end.
hardcore. Hardcore, Daniel. Hardcore.
I know it's hardcore, but that's the part that no one wants to hear.
I don't disagree with you. I do not. Just to
They
be
want
very
the easy
clear with
button.
you, my entire program
Yeah.
is not
I know you
based
don't.
on medication. Like there's no medication in my programs at all. And
The
so
way that you speak about things, I know that's not the truth because you are here to work, help people to work through it.
yeah. No, you are right. And this is why I say like check and see what I do because it's not the medication element. I actually get people off of medication often. I was just curious on your
Yeah.
thoughts on like the things that people are saying are doing holistic medication.
I could have gave you
Just curious on what
I could have gave you the easy answer.
you
And the easier answer is, hey Rick, all that stuff is bullshit.
think. Fair enough.
But if I just say that, like you were saying earlier, you talk and you go through things and fast and you're dropping bombs and stuff like that, and it's going, well, I hope they got that bomb because it was one big bomb that is the absolute truth, and it's the truth that none of the other practitioners out there want to talk to you about. You know why? Because even these practitioners out there who are other intuitive coaches and intuitive this, and they drop the word intuitive like that they want you to believe that they are going to get you some divine intervention.
Mm,
Intuitive, the first two letters of intuitive is the letter I-N. In meaning in here. Your soul is for you. Your intuition is for to guide you, not someone else's intuition to guide you. Yours is for you. Theirs is for theirs. Their intuitive coach business is a business strategy trying to get you in so you can become an acquisition for them so they can get your money. That's what it's for. Don't listen to them. Don't let them fool you into all this bullshit, or I can get rid of your past trauma bullshit and all that stuff. No, in.
vast majority is
And
that. Yes.
the in intuition issue is also in with is inside of you, which is all this other bullshit that you choose to hold on to. And the only way you're going to let it go is you choosing to let it go. But you
Agreed.
also choosing to see that if I can't do it myself, yes, it's okay to go find someone else to help you do it. If you do have to see a psychologist, if you do have to see a doctor, if you do have to take some medication to ease it, but still, all they're going to do is suppress it. But it's still in there. You got to
Still got
let
to do
it
the work.
go. They gotta do the work. You can go to a doctor and he can give you some pills to suppress your depression, but it's still in there.
Yeah,
Or you can go to a specialist who can talk you down from it. You know what you can do? You can learn to talk yourself down from it. You can learn to let it go. You
it's
can
true.
learn to know, I don't have to hold on to this and I don't have to have all that negative energy have power and control over me. I can learn to let it go and I can take the power back.
Hmm. That
But
is that is actually
we've
true. That
relinquished
is true.
we relinquished the power a long time ago. We relinquished it to kings and queens, and now we call them government. Because we believe that they're going to take care of us. If you think the presidential race that's going on right now, not that I'm going to get political, but how many presidencies have you lived through, Rick? Because I've lived through a bunch of them, and I'm going to live through this one too. Because they are not our saviors. They are not going to save you because they don't care about you. They care about you going out and working your ass off so you can put all the money into the system so they can have it and they can have power and control over you. Why? Because they have all the money to do that. Because they have all the big lawyers who can destroy your lives. Or you don't have to listen to them. I don't live my life by what they talk about and what they do. I live 12 miles away from Mexico. Donald Trump was just down here. You know how much of him I saw? I didn't. You know why? Because I don't care. I didn't go down there to see him because he has nothing to do with me or my life. Prices are never going to go down. Taxes are never going to go away. Everything is going to cost a lot of money. And it's going to continue to do that again if we stay along the lines of letting them do it.
Hmm.
Or until we get away from the amenities of this world and decide, hey, let's get back to doing this the way we used to. Let's start talking about it, and then eventually that will grow, because that's the only way it's going to happen. We can't do. We think we're going to go online and talk to everybody, and everything's going to be cool until they go in there and go, oh, can't do that anymore. Shut your group down. Bye.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we do now? Go back to the
Well,
way that used to be. That's the way they talked to each other before. Why can't we do it now?
yep. Go get
Because
back in line.
this is too easy. This is too easy. Let me. Oh, this is too easy. Hey, let me go. I'm going to go to the doctor and get a whole bunch of drugs. That's too easy too. No, I go through pain every day. I have 4 screws in my back. I got 4 screws, and I'm fused in my lower back. I got the neuropathy. I have no feeling from the knees down. This is all pins and needles from the elbows down. But I'm still pushing, man. I'm still going through life. I'm getting through it the best I can. I know I'm going to check out, and I know it's going to be hard before I check out. But I'm still going to live my life. And
Hmm.
I'm not going to let everyone else take control of my life. I just can't do it. It's about
Agreed.
power and control.
Badass, dude. That's some warrior talk right there. I like it. Yep. That warrior talk. I like when people say that shit. I'm not going to conform. I'm going to keep fighting. I'll keep going.
That's that's your show. That's the battlefield. That's your warrior talk. That's me. I just
Hmm.
we say the same things. We just say it in a different kind of way. That's all.
Correct. I agree. This is what.
But the good part is we're saying it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's good. It's good to have the conversations about it. And like again, truth is the fight right now. Truth is the fight.
Yeah.
People struggle with the truth, and it's always an honor, man. I'm really glad I got to reconnect with you on stuff, and I'm glad also to see like things are evolving very well for you. And you said you have a show coming up, right?
Yes, I have my regular show that I had before called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Me, Daniel Jackson. That's how I started because I'm crazy. But yeah, it's going to be out on a brand new streaming network. It's going to be coming out soon called Ethereal TV. It's ethereal.net. It's they're still working on it. It's taking some time because it is going to be on Roku and Fire TV. It's going to be out everywhere, like a Discovery or a History Channel, that type of same thing, same direction, but all spiritual TV. And it's not just spiritual people like myself, like mediums and other stuff like that, and healers, but it's also like different cooking shows as well. So because you can't just get rid of negativity just by getting rid of the people, you got to get yourself healthy too. You can't just walk around and go, "Oh, I'm going to eat Twinkies all day long and get rid of everybody, and I'm going to be okay." But or get the crystals and all that stuff and think that's going to do everything. You got to do the entire total package of work. It takes a lot of energy to do that, and so, but you got to be dedicated to it. So there's all kinds of people on this network that are bringing out all kinds of information about it, and it is one of those pay networks, so you have to subscribe to it and stuff like that. But when it's ready, I know it's going to help people. I mean, like I said, they sought me out. They sought a bunch of. I actually know some of the people on the network because I've actually been on their shows before. So I know. Yeah, so good for them, right? But yeah, it's a really cool place. I was actually on a podcast like 3 years ago, and the people who own the network came to me and said, "Hey, we need this guy." So I'm the guy.
is
So
is
yeah,
your
so
show
I'm
is your
here.
show going to be pre-recorded or will it be like interactive?
It is pre-recorded, but
Okay.
they can interact with me if they choose so. So if people want to get a hold of me from there, they can make comments. But I did a little commercial to let people know if they do have any comments, questions, or even show ideas that they want me to do or things that they want me to cover. I have an email address. It's Daniel at spiritmediumdaniel.com. They can email me there, and that's how they can get a hold of me. Or even they can. I have a group on Facebook. It's got like 100 and almost 200 members, something like that. But
Hmm.
the only reason it has 200 members, though, it doesn't have a lot of members, is because I don't let everybody on there. So when people like when I talk about spirit touching me and stuff, they touch me. This is yes and that's no. It feels like a tear running down my face for no and across my forehead. And at the last time I talked to you, I think I was up to like 50 or something like that, 40, something like that. I have 67 archangels that are touching me at all times. And so when I see someone who wants to join the group, I look at the name and I go, "Is this person going to be a good person?" No. Oh, so they're going to cause a bunch of trouble on this page? No. Yeah, yes. I go, okay, click, delete. That's why I have so little members on there because I don't want anybody to come on there and have to deal with a bunch of spam or people trying to scam them out of something. So yeah, but if they want to join, they can try. Just
we, we
they
we
can
call
try.
it we call it troll patrol when people come on and
Yeah,
mess with us.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
have to write
troll
that one down.
patrol.
But yeah, so I go in there and make sure that the people who are I know are not going to cause trouble are going to be in there, and I allow everybody comes in there and talks to each other, and then they can ask questions all they want, and I'm very active in there, and I will answer their questions. I have no problems answering any questions for anybody. But I just did put a little bit of a disclaimer in there and told people don't come in there and ask the political questions because again,
Agreed.
they don't care about us. So
It's not
we're
it's
here
not a
to we're here
political
to
show.
work on
It's a
ourselves.
it's a
Yeah,
spirit
we're here to
show.
work on
It's
ourselves.
an
Yeah.
here show.
Yeah, it's all
Um,
about working out the inner problems that you have in yourself, and concentrating on all that other mess is not going to help you do it. And if you are listening to that, apparently you're not listening to me. So
yeah, well, they're not going to
so
like and subscribe, and they won't be able to get
yeah,
in.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And if you're concentrating on all that stuff, I don't want you to like and subscribe because I don't want you to
Right.
come in because I want like-minded people who are going to come in who are trying to work on themselves and trying to get themselves together because it's going to take a long time for us to get together, but it's got to start somewhere. And so I'm doing that with that little group. Again, I'll be on eventually Roku and Fire TV with the Ethereal TV network. They can go on Amazon and they can get my book. It's Daniel Jackson, A New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. Just go on Amazon and put that in. Daniel Jackson, New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. And you'll see a picture of a man walking into a bright white light. And that's me.
It's
And
the
it's
book
it's
behind
about
you,
my
right?
story. Yeah, yeah, it's right behind
That's
me there.
right
Yeah,
there. There
it's
you
yeah,
go.
it's right here. Look at that. Yeah,
Get it. Get your
yeah.
copy today.
Yeah, I'm actually working on book number 2 right now. I'm working on a book of what it's like to be me because people want to know that type of stuff. Because again, they always come up to me. So what's they always ask my wife. So what's it like to live with him? I mean, are you walking on clouds every day? No, I'm taking the garbage out like you do, but I get messages from archangels and God. So, but I'm trying to get you to do the same thing with what I'm doing, but you won't listen. So maybe you'll listen this time. But yeah, they can find my book and I yeah, I know. It just comes out, but it's yeah, it's like diarrhea. It just comes out of my mouth. Just won't stop flowing. Yeah, I mean, they can find it for $8, $8 on there for the paperback and $6.49 for the ebook. We're actually my wife is building a box right now outside of this room. She's building a box because we're going to do an audio version of the book. But because people they say they like my voice. I mean, they say I have a very soothing voice, and I hope it doesn't put them to sleep like it puts my wife to sleep. Yeah, but hopefully, I my voice it gets across to people. I hear this constantly. I'm not bragging again because I'm not bragging when I say I'm the shizzle dizzle. I just know I am
You
because
know you.
I I I go and do readings once a month up in Tucson. I'm always the busiest fucking table. I'm always walking out there having to do 17 to 21 readings a day.
Hmm.
And why do people know that people always walk in? I just heard you on a podcast. I feel you resonate with me, and I resonate with you because you know that your soul was telling you that I'm telling you the truth.
Hmm.
That's why, and that's what you need to hear. So yeah, so I'm always busy because people who you know this because you do it
Hmm.
because people who tell the truth are always busy.
Well, I'm very
That's
busy.
why.
I agreed.
Yeah.
And that's a big
And
part of
and it's
today's
a
people
good
are
busy.
starving. They're starving for it though. Starving for
They
truth.
are.
Yeah,
They
agreed.
right. They really can handle it, but you gotta give it to them in a way where there's no bullshit, where you're not like the doctor who gives them a bunch of medical jargon. You want the doctor who tells you the truth. That's
Yeah.
what I wanna hear because there's no good news or bad news. It's just
It's just
news. It just
news.
depends upon what you do after that news. You can sit around with your thumb up your ass all day and do nothing, or you can be proactive. But no matter what you do in your life, there's one thing you must remember. What's important is what you do from the time that you wake up into this world in that baby body and your mom and dad's going, you're going, what? And your mom and dad's going, I'm your mom and dad. And you're going, I don't know who the fuck you are, but okay. And then they teach you the ways of the world. And it's up to you to decide which of those ways of the world are the truth and which ones aren't. And it's what you do from the time that you wake up and go until you don't go. And that's what's important. Don't make that little dash on the headstone, your life. Go out
Hmm.
and don't let the headstone be the marker. You be the marker and let
Yeah.
everybody know who you are and what you can do in this life and how much power you and control you actually have over yourself instead of everybody saying they have it over you. They don't have it over you. They have it over you as long as you allow them to tell you that they have it over you. Stop listening and start listening to that inner self yourself and get in touch with that. But yeah, there's just people just they can handle the truth, but just we've been taught to not all the untruths so much. It's hard for them to understand it, and it's hard for them to grasp it.
Hmm.
But here's
Yeah.
one truth that everybody needs to understand: at some point, you're going to die. You just are. Stop walking around telling everybody, "I can't believe they died. How did they die? He was so healthy. He died." There's two rules in this world. As long as you comprehend the rules and you follow these rules, you'll trust everything in life, and you'll love everybody in your life, and you'll love your own life. And rule number one is people die every day. And rule number two is you can't change rule number one. When it's your time to go, it just is. But don't sit around and do nothing with that. Go out and do something and do something that's going to help you or help someone else or help something else in this world because that's what he put us here to do.
Hmm. I love it. That can't beat that. Can't beat it in that way. That's a good way to close it out. Daniel Jackson, honor to hang out with you, man. Thank you so much for coming on again. I really appreciate you.
I couldn't wait to get back on here again. Couldn't
Yeah,
wait.
it's good, man. You were one of the people I'm like, there's a few people I'm like, get back in touch with them. That one leaves impacts. I like that one.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's
you're
very
one of the
cool to
people
have you
that I
on.
want to get back on right away because you're one of those people for me as well.
I love it, man. Honored, man. I'm honored. Thank you so much. Stick around for a second after this so I can talk to you more off camera. But we're going to air this episode soon. And this one we're going to put out there, even though you're like, oh, bam, bam, bam. We're going to put it out there and let everybody watch this one. So I'm very excited for this one. The other one, Daniel goes so hard. You got to join the Patreon to get it because he was smashing everybody. So I love it. In which case, thank you so much for being on. Check out his stuff. Like, subscribe, join on this channel. Check out his show and get the book. Daniel Jackson, Spirit Medium. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother.